The desert in New Mexico. Scorching, arid, and hostile. The classic setting for a Western. In the shadows, some unnerving characters wait for nightfall to stalk their victims under cover of darkness. Perhaps the most formidable but least known killer in America lives here. And it's only a mouse. But a mouse that hunts like a lion and howls like a wolf. The grasshopper mouse is capable of killing animals up to 3 times its own size, no matter how venomous. While attempting to immobilize a scorpion, it sometimes gets stung. It should writhe in agony, but it barely flinches. It may be immune to the poison. It's hard to imagine a mouse as a predator, but this is no ordinary mouse. It behaves more like a carnivore than a rodent. A female howls to attract a mate. A male responds instantly. Courtship in this species can be a lengthy affair, but the pair may maintain a loose association all summer, so it's important to choose the right partner. Like wild cats and dogs, they use scent to mark the boundaries of their home range. Glands near their tail produce a musky secretion, which they rub on prominent rocks to warn off intruders. Their howl is an ultrasonic squeak beyond the audible range of most humans. Here, the sound is at half speed, so that everyone can hear it. At midday, the ground temperature in the desert can rise to over 150 degrees Fahrenheit. A metre below ground, it remains at around room temperature. To escape the heat, the mice dig a deep tunnel, down which they'll retreat at dawn. Grasshopper mice are found throughout the western states of America. But like all carnivorous animals, they're scattered because their prey is thin on the ground. Its keen sense of hearing enables the mouse to locate potential prey at night. As its name suggests, grasshoppers are a favorite food. The mice survive in this parched land on the water they get from their insect prey. The fat and protein are important too, especially to an expectant mother. Shortly before she is due to give birth, The female prepares a bed of grass stems. The male plays no part in rearing the family. Grasshopper mice are voracious predators, but they're not without enemies. The gopher snake feeds exclusively on small rodents. The mouse is cornered, but it seems more alert than alarmed. It may be wee and sleek it, like Robert Burns's mouse, but it's neither cowering nor timorous. The mouse waits for the snake to make its move, and then makes a dash for freedom. Thwarted by a mere mouse, the snake slithers off in search of easier prey. The desert looks inhospitable, but many species of rodent live here. The kangaroo rat, with its long tail and huge feet, is probably the best known. It feeds on seeds, which it stores in burrows for times when food is scarce. The underground larder can be left unguarded. Few mice will risk being caught thieving by the owner, but there's one that will. The grasshopper mouse shows no fear. Although it would rather eat flesh, it will feed on plant material when prey is scarce, and a kangaroo rat's store provides a welcome meal. The mouse could survive on seeds, but it prefers to prowl the desert in pursuit of crickets and grasshoppers. About a month after mating, females give birth to between 2 and 5 young. There are 4 in this litter. The babies are born blind, hairless, toothless, and completely helpless. They weigh about 2 grams, and each one is the size of a baked bean. But on their mother's rich milk, these youngsters will double their weight in 3 days. Even at this age, their killer instinct sometimes surfaces. The babies soon establish a hierarchy within the litter. When food is short, the dominant individuals monopolize the milk supply and survive at the expense of their weaker brothers and sisters. During the day, grasshopper mice rarely come to the surface. It's not only the heat, there are sharp-eyed predators out there. The roadrunner is a large member of the cuckoo family. Despite its comical reputation, it's an accomplished hunter. It eats small birds and mammals, insects and reptiles, even poisonous ones. It regularly eats rattlesnakes, scorpions and tarantulas. Little wonder the mice stay well out of sight. At night, the roadrunner is at rest and the mice can come out. But there are hazards of a different kind, some of them man-made, which remain after dark. Rubbish dumped on the roadside is a potential death trap. Attracted by scraps of food and drops of sweet liquid, the mouse clambers over a jumble of traps and pitfalls. Mice are excellent climbers, but even they can't scale a sheer glass wall. This mouse was lucky, and so were her babies. The young mice are 4 days old. Their hair is beginning to grow, but their eyes will not open for at least another 6 days. The female continues to give them her undivided attention, feeding and grooming them, and defending them if necessary. To produce enough milk for her growing family, she must eat her own weight in food every day. This means long hours of hunting. A pocket mouse digging for seeds attracts her attention. Like a cat, she creeps up on her victim. She kills it with a single bite through the spine or base of the skull. If she's hungry, she'll gorge herself on the whole carcass, but often she eats only the brain. The killer mouse isn't the only mouse killer in the desert. The American badger is found throughout the western states, but it's most numerous in arid areas where there's an ample supply of rodents. Even a predatory mouse is potential prey. Its sensitive nose informs the badger where food is concealed underground. Equipped with strong, sharp claws and powerful forelimbs, the badger bulldozes through the earth. The large holes it excavates provide homes for coyotes, foxes, and even rabbits, but no shelter for a trapped grasshopper mouse. The mouse searches for an escape route, but this time its chances of survival look slim. Badgers usually hunt larger rodents, like prairie dogs and gophers. They only unearth mice when they're really hungry. Normally, a mouthful of mouse isn't worth the trouble. There's little activity during the heat of the day, but as the sun sets, the desert revives. The horse lubber is a large desert grasshopper. Its powerful hind legs could damage a mouse. The hunter must keep well out of range. At 20 days old, the babies are weaned and need solid food. Like lion cubs at a kill, the 3-week-old mice squabble fiercely for their share. In times of shortage, only the strongest will survive. They keep their eyes tightly shut to protect them from the sharp claws of their litter mates. The youngsters are becoming more adventurous by the day. It's at about this age that they take their first tentative steps beyond the safety of the nest chamber. A peek at the big wide world is enough for the moment, at least until reinforcements have been mustered. But the urge to investigate is irresistible. Even at this tender age, they're exceptionally bold and inquisitive. Young mice are particularly vulnerable to predators. Many will die before they reach 1 year of age. But the coast is clear, and soon the whole family is exploring their new environment. Grasshopper mice are born killers. They instinctively know how to deal with potential prey. It's crucial that they should be able to fend for themselves. Their mother is due to give birth to a second litter, and she'll soon have no time for her firstborn. Just occasionally, instinct isn't enough. Darkling beetles are large and nourishing, but killing them is no simple feat. When threatened, the beetle exudes an acrid substance from its rear end. The attacking youngster gets sprayed in the face. While it rolls frantically in the sand to rid itself of the irritant, the beetle has time to escape. The killer, it seems, has met its match. But there is a way to neutralize the beetle's defenses. An experienced mouse grabs its victim and jams its posterior into the sand before it can take aim. Spiders have a frightening reputation, and none more so than this species. In fact, the tarantula is a mild-mannered creature. It will only bite in self-defense if it feels its life is threatened. Its venom isn't lethal to humans, but it's enough to knock out a mouse. The long hairs covering its limbs and body are also extremely irritating. But it takes a lot to deter America's least known killer, a mouse which patrols the Wild West, hunting like a lion and howling like a wolf.
The water vole is the only member of its family in Britain which has exploited an aquatic environment. How does it thrive in this habitat where other small mammals don't? Several factors set it apart. One is its coat. It's exceptionally thick, which keeps the animal warm. Coarse outer guard hairs trap air between themselves and the fine, dense undercoat. The air forms a waterproof layer which keeps the animal dry, even underwater. They are short-sighted, but compensate for poor vision with an acute sense of smell and hearing. Their ears show several important adaptations. They're short and rounded for streamlining, and a special membrane keeps water out when the animal dives. Their strong claws stop them slipping and enable them to dig deep into the river bank. They vary considerably in size and colour across the country. In the far north, they're smaller, and in Scotland and East Anglia, there's a black variety. Water voles are often confused with rats. Although given the folk name of the water rat, they're not even closely related. Brown rats may also live along the river bank, But they differ from a water vole by having a more pointed nose, prominent pink ears, and a longer tail. The water vole's closest relatives are the smaller field and bank voles. This is a field vole, but neither can survive in wet conditions. The only other small mammal which is adapted to life in the river is the water shrew. Its fur glistens with trapped air bubbles. Like the water vole, the air serves as a waterproof layer and also insulates the animal from the cold. Shrews and voles don't compete with each other. Whereas the water vole is vegetarian, the water shrew is a carnivore, hunting for insects, worms, and crayfish on the riverbed. An aquatic animal must be able to swim well. The water vole is especially strong underwater, although it can't stay under for more than 20 seconds. By slowing down the action, we can see that it paddles hard with all four legs. Unlike other aquatic mammals, it never uses its tail as a rudder. Instead, it steers with its feet. Water voles are always found in wet habitats. They prefer slow-moving, unpolluted rivers with high, steep banks that will colonize ponds, lakes, and marshes as long as there's plenty of cover. They live throughout mainland Britain. As yet, they haven't reached Ireland. At the end of March, the countryside bursts with new life. The lengthening days and warmer weather are a sure sign that spring has arrived. During the cold winter months, water voles remain relatively inactive, but now establish new territories. Their first task is to complete a tunnel system in the river bank. They use their teeth to remove stones, and any roots which impede progress are gnawed through and eaten. The main shaft extends several feet into the bank and ends in a nest chamber. A second chamber, hollowed out nearer the main entrance, will be used as a daybed or food store. To complete the system, a number of additional tunnels are added. Vertical shafts allow the animal access to the top of the riverbank, and there are always one or two escape routes with underwater exits. Water voles are shy and secretive creatures. They spend most of their lives underground, since they need to keep out of sight of their numerous predators. Their network of tunnels enables them to gather food and nesting material without having to venture out into the open. Without their riverbank refuge, they probably wouldn't last long. Grasses, roots, and leaves are fashioned into a thick bed within the nesting chamber. The vole's body heat soon dries out the fresh material, so the nest never stays damp for long. Where there is no suitable bank to burrow into, water voles will construct a woven nest in dense reed beds or in the crown of a willow. In addition to their main burrow, water voles dig a series of tunnels every few feet along the river bank. These serve two purposes. First, as a safe place to eat food, and second, as a bolt hole in times of danger. Even man-made holes will do, as long as they're too small for a predator and just big enough for a water vole. A well-worn track connects each bolt hole and is used as a convenient path by other riverbank animals. Water voles stick to their pathways and never stray more than 3 feet from the water's edge. Voles are clean animals. They keep their coat meticulously groomed and never foul their food or bedding, and only rarely their runs. Droppings are deposited on prominent landmarks in the vole's territory, like a ledge in the bank or a log at the water's edge. They use these latrines to give information about themselves to other voles in adjoining territories, and it is by this means that a male seeks out a partner. Females ready to mate leave a scent which attracts males, and one will sniff her out, even entering her tunnel system. This intrusion into her privacy is not welcomed by the female. In fact, courtship among water voles is almost always a violent affair. The female plays hard to get, chattering at the male in threat. Persistence usually pays off, although the courtship chase along the river bank may last for several days. The male plays no further part in the rearing of the family. The female builds a nest and raises the young ones single-handed. Pregnancy in water voles lasts 3 weeks. About 5 days before her litter is due, the female becomes very active. She spends a great deal of time feeding and preparing the nest chamber. She selects a variety of fine grasses and reeds to line the nest. At the bottom, she adds a few coarse stems and twigs. Although these are not very comfortable to lie on, they ensure a good airflow through the nesting material, which helps to keep it dry. As the time draws nearer, she rests more often. She is now heavily pregnant, and clearly finds it hard to get comfortable. Water voles are hosts to a multitude of parasites. Fleas and mites take advantage of her inactivity to drink from the female's eyes. The first baby arrives. Labor doesn't last long for water voles. The whole process can be over in half an hour. Here, the female is actually giving birth to her third young. She only has a few minutes between each new arrival and hurries to clean them as they're born. At 5 days old, the young voles are covered with soft brown hair. They are still dependent on their mother for food, but like all young rodents, they grow fast. In just under 2 weeks' time, these youngsters will be weaned and ready to leave the nest. At this stage, their claws are well developed, but their eyes won't open until they are 8 days old. The female continues to give them her undivided attention. If the old site is disturbed, she'll move her family to a new nest. Water voles are not the only animals which breed in holes in the banks of our rivers. The kingfisher builds a nest burrow in steep, sandy banks. This pair already have young, and both parents have to fish continuously to feed their hungry brood. The ancient Greeks believed the gods looked kindly on this bird they called the halcyon, keeping the climate mild and calm during the summer when the birds breed. And even now, periods of fine weather are called halcyon days. Summer has drawbacks for the water vole. During warm, dry spells, the water level in the river drops, exposing the entrances to its underwater exits. With fewer escape routes, they're vulnerable. A vole represents a nourishing meal to a pike. But a water vole is in its element underwater. When seriously threatened, it dives to the riverbed, stirs up mud with its front feet, and sends up a thick smoke screen which serves to hide its line of retreat. The young voles are 15 days old. They're weaned and ready to venture out into the world. They're now about the size of a field vole, and at this age are very similar. At first, the youngsters are fearful of water and are reluctant to leave the nest chamber. Encouraged by their mother, they will eventually take the plunge, one after the other. They're not the water babies one might expect. They have to learn the hard way, and that takes time. Inexperienced young voles are particularly vulnerable to attack by predators. There's no threat from this group of sparrows and a goldfinch coming to the water's edge for a drink. But this mink is not here to quench its thirst. The mink is a newcomer to the British Isles. Individuals which escaped from fur farms have now established wild populations. Fast, agile, and fearless. It's now probably the water vole's greatest enemy. escape underwater. The vole is forced out onto land. Here, out of its element, it is desperately vulnerable. Birds of prey, like the barn owl, take large numbers of young voles. But if they didn't, the banks would soon become overrun. A female vole may have up to 4 litters before the summer is over. At 4 weeks old, they are fully independent and now swim fearlessly and accurately, even in a strong current. This thick floating mat of water crowfoot makes a convenient platform for a pied wagtail to feed her chick. It also provides young voles with one of their favorite foods. The flowers are rich in pollen and are probably an important source of protein. In order to provide clear, fast-flowing water for fishermen, the thick growth of weeds are cleared periodically throughout the summer. Although water voles can cause damage by burrowing into the bank, they also do some good by eating weeds and are generally regarded as a tolerable nuisance by water bailiffs. The breeding season ends in late September. The young from early litters are fully grown and have actually driven out the adults from the choice territories along the bank. Away from the river, the older adult voles can't compete with field or bank voles, and with no tunnels to hide in, soon fall to predators. For the survivors, the autumn feast is particularly important because water voles don't hibernate. They must fatten up now on whatever's available if they are to survive. As the days become shorter, they also store food in underground chambers, which will reduce the risk of starvation when they get snowed in. Most of the older voles will succumb to the rigors of winter. But the new generation are so well adapted to life along the river that a good proportion will survive to greet a new world after the thaw. Although water voles don't hibernate, they drop in and out of sleep all winter. Their breathing rate and heartbeat slow right down to conserve energy. So which of the survival factors is the most important? As strong swimmers, water voles can escape from all but their most determined enemies. Their tunnels in the bank are a safe place to sleep, feed and breed. But if they have one outstanding feature, it must be the quality of their fur. For unlike other small British rodents, a water vole never actually gets wet. At least, not soaked to the skin. Perhaps this is the secret of Mr. Ratty's success.